Everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. So we are just wrapping up the Core TCG official Bandai tournament, and we finished at 5-2. We had a record of 5-2. Unfortunately, it was not enough to place in the top 32. Our tiebreakers just weren't good enough, and we ended up placing 40th overall, which it stings a little bit that we had the record to make top 32, but our tiebreakers and where we picked up the losses just unfortunately were not in our favor today. But nonetheless, we still went 5-2. I feel very, very happy with that performance. It's the best performance that I have done so far in one of these large events. And so we're going to dive into the deck that I ran today. Now, when it comes to the events that are being run this weekend, there's the Core TCG and the Carta Magica event. In the Core TCG event, the promos from the power-up packs and the dash packs were legal. However, tomorrow, from the day that I'm recording this, in the Carta Magica event, they are not legal. So that definitely had an impact on what deck I decided to play. Tomorrow at that event, I will be playing a green Hercules Kabuterimon deck, which obviously is a much stronger deck if you can have the Palmon rookie. But because I don't have access to those cards, and they were legal in today's format, I decided to just run a different deck, and I'll run the Hercules Kabuterimon tomorrow when the Palmons aren't even legal, and which is fine because I don't have them. So anyways, what we ended up running today is we decided to go with Blue-Green Rookie Rush. This is the first time that I've played Rookie Rush, and I really, really did like the deck. I do kind of understand why there is some hate surrounding Rookie Rush, but I enjoyed playing the deck today, and we ended up going 5-2, so not too bad overall. So we'll start out with the babies. I mean, it's a pretty standard blue-green Rookie Rush list. So we have 4 of the Upamon and 1 Demi-V. Upamon just helps get so many draws, especially if you are playing, you know, if you're going wide because you're playing Rookie Rush. A lot of times your opponent will just try to start matching you, or just like put down a blocker if they, you know, if they don't have a rookie or whatever. So I was constantly getting draws off of Upamon, which is very, very nice. It helps, you know, refill your hand because you're often playing like 2 to 3 cards per turn, depending on how much memory your opponent can give you. And then just 1 Demi-Vmon, because we do run the Jamming Vmon in this deck. So if you're able to put that on top of this, you get some extra draw power. So that's the babies, and then we'll get into the rookies, which there are quite a few of them. So we'll just kind of go through them pretty quickly. So we're running 4 of the Jamming Vmon. Very, very solid rookie. Because it's got jamming, it will most likely live to anything it finds in security, unless it's an option card that can kill something. Very, very solid rookie to have in the deck, so definitely a 4 of there. Then we've got 4 Elecmons. It's just a cheap rookie, just a cheap 2-cost. You know, being able to play that ping-pong game of memory starving with your opponent. Very, very good. Then we run 4 copies of Strabimon. So this is where this deck kind of evolves with BT4. So we'll see a little bit later in the deck where the rest of the hybrids come into play. But Strabimon was very, very good. There was a few times where I was able to get value off of the on-play effect, but that really just kind of depends on like what you've already seen in your hand. If you've seen your Lobomons, or you've seen your Davises, or you've seen a bunch of these already. I typically didn't want to play it because I knew I was most likely just going to be sending 3 things to the bottom. And it always kind of hurts to see what you send to the bottom, especially if it's really good. But yeah, definitely did get some value out of this. And then, of course, worst case scenario, you just evolve it for 0. So it's not that bad. Then we have 4 of the on-play Draw 1 Gabumon. Very, very good rookie, especially combo with Hammer Spark. If your opponent puts you to 1, you can go to 2, and then hard cast this for 3 and get a draw off of it. Very nice. Otherwise, you know, again, it's just a free evolve. And then to round out the blue rookies, we have 1 copy of Armadillomon. The reason for this is I don't have access to the 2-cost 0-2 evolve Gomamons, because I don't have access to blue starter decks. I was able to buy, or trade rather, for a set of Hammer Sparks, so shout out to Joe Dobby for those Hammer Sparks. But because I don't have access to like the rest of the blue starter decks, because I haven't been able to find them, we round out the blue rookies with 1 copy of Armadillomon. Yeah, it evolves for 1, but you're never evolving it. You're just going to hard cast it. And whenever I had this in hand with Elecmons, I would always just prioritize playing this or any of the other like 2-cost rookies, I would always just prioritize playing this because it does have the 1 to evolve. I never ended up having to evolve it for 1 today, so I didn't run into any issues there. And then to round out our rookies, we run 4 copies of Aruramon and 4 copies of Lyolmon. These are exactly the same card. 2 to evolve, 2 to hardcast, level 3, obviously, no inheritables, and 5k. So this is literally just 8 of the exact same rookie. The reason why we run this is so that we have access to some of our green options, which we'll get into in a little bit. But we prioritize running mostly blue rookies because, of course, all of our eggs are blue, and we're not running any green eggs. So we just run the 8 green rookies there, just so that we, again, have access to our flower cannons and positron lasers if we have to hardcast them from hand and we don't find them in security. But that rounds out the rookies, so let's get into the champions. So when we get to our champions, I've got 2 copies of Gorillamon. It's, 1 to evolve is very, very good. There was a couple of times where I was in a really bad situation and my opponent just gave me a bunch of memory and I didn't have enough rookies to draw, so I just hardcast a Gorillamon and something else from my hand. I can't exactly remember what it was. So, not the best situation to be in, but, it's a cheap cost to evolve, so if you're in a sticky situation and you want like an extra draw to try to dig for an answer, like a Puppetmon or something like that, then the 1 cost to evolve is really, really nice. Alright, we're getting into the Lobomons now, so we run 3 of these. I had a lot of scenarios where this kit just came out of nowhere, because a lot of times my opponent would just look at my rookies that were on board, they wouldn't account for my Davises, and they would just count by the rookies, and then I was able to throw one of these down on top of Davis and just give an extra attack out of nowhere. So that just felt really, really good. And also with this being a hybrid, then the Strabimon can search for it off the top of your deck. So there was a couple times where I was able to pick up one of these off of the Strabimon. But yeah, we run 3 of these because the 2 cost to evolve, there it is. The 2 cost to evolve is a little pricey, but it's so much nicer if you pay that 2 and evolve it onto a tamer instead of something that's on the field to just essentially get an extra body out of nowhere. And then our final champion that we play is 4 copies of XVmon. Just being able to unsuspend something is very, very good. There would be times where like I would have a couple blue rookies out, one of which was the Jamming Vmon. You send Jamming Vmon into security, you evolve like an Elecmon into your XVmon, and then you unsuspend the Jamming Vmon and send that into security again. So I was able to do that quite a few times, and also worst case scenario, it can unsuspend itself. It does not say unsuspend one of your other level 4 or lower Digimon, so if there was a situation where I needed to, I like threw Jamming Vmon into security and then would evolve this over top of it and then unsuspend it and send it in again. So yeah, very, very good champion. Absolutely love this card in this deck. Can also help get extra attacks out of nowhere, because if your opponent isn't expecting this, then, they might only do the math for what they can see on the board, and then if you can bring an XVmon down, it's an extra attack out of nowhere, which is really, really nice. And that rounds out our champions. So there are no ultimates, because it's Rookie Rush, and there's only 4 megas, and you know what it is. It's Rookie Rush. It's Puppetmon. So incredibly strong. There's not really too much to say about Puppetmon. Just a very, very good mega overall. Keeping your opponent's board locked down. Super, super strong. There was a couple turns where I had 2 Puppetmons in hand, so I was able to, go 1 Puppetmon, and they would, do everything that they could. And then I would lay down another one. In some situations, that got really scary, because after the first Puppetmon, usually you want to be able to just close out the game from there. But depending on what your opponent can do with that 10 memory that you give them, you might not be in the best situation to be able to then close out the game after that. And then laying down a second one is just really scary, because it's like if you can't close it out from that second one, it's literally just game over for you. But every time I was able to put down a second Puppetmon today, I believe I was able to finish up from there. If I needed the second Puppetmon, again, there were a lot of situations where just 1 Puppetmon is enough. But yeah, super, super strong. Absolutely love running Puppetmon in this deck. So let's get into the Tamers next. There's only 1 Tamer in this deck, and it is Davis. Very, very good tamer with this deck. You run a lot of blue and green Digimon. Being able to throw this down and being able to like search out a Puppetmon, I did that quite a few times today, and that was just, it was really nice. It does suck a little bit because your opponent then knows that you've got the Puppetmon in hand, but it just feels so good still being able to have the Puppetmon in hand. Also, if this is in your security and you don't have to pay the 4 cost for it, and just getting the free Davis and the free search off the top of your deck is really, really good. And then just, you know, being able to go to 3 memory, you can get a lot more bodies onto the field. There was a couple of times where my opponent bricked early on, and they had to, like, put a level 4 onto the field and give me a bunch of memory. And there was a few times where I was holding on to a Davis, and so I would just, you know, like, do my, like, you know, hatch the egg, evolve it into a rookie, and then I would just throw Davis down to put them to 1, and it was just, it just felt really good to be able to get the Tamer on board early, and especially if my opponent was already on turn 1, not evolving their egg and just throwing champions down. I knew they were already in a bad situation, so being able to put Davis down and then just continually go to 3 memory after that just feels really, really good. Okay, so then rounding out the deck, we've got our options. We got 4 Hammer Sparks. You know, Hammer Spark is super, super good. Really good option card for blue. There was one time where I completely forgot that my opponent had Terriermon on the field, so I throw down Hammer Spark, being all confident, like, yeah, I'm gonna gain memory, and then my opponent's like, nah, I've got Terriermon. So that felt really bad. And then there was another time where completely forgot that my opponent just laid a TK, and I was at 0. I was at 0, so I'm like, okay, Hammer Spark, Elecmon, put you to 1. Crap, right, you just put TK down, so it, you know, was like a waste of a Hammer Spark. But every other time I was able to use it. Phenomenal card. This is the first time I've had my hands on Hammer Sparks, and I absolutely love this card. It feels so good to play and not always have it used against you. Okay, and then getting into our green options, we run 3 Flower Cannons. The reason why we run 3 and not 4 is because we do only have 8 green rookies and then the 4 Puppetmons, so we only have 12 green bodies altogether. And I don't want to get stuck with these in my hand and not be able to cast it, and then it's a dead card. So 3 just feels like a really, really nice number for the deck. And then if you find it in security, it doesn't matter what's on your board, because then you just get the effect of it anyways. Very, very good card. I absolutely love Flower Cannon. Probably my favorite green option card. But it's a close second. As a close second, I should say, is Positron Laser. This is the first time I've used this card in this event today, and it's just really, really strong. Especially if you hit it in security when your opponent is in the middle of making their swings. It just feels so good to just flip this and be like, nah, the rest of your board can't attack this turn. Really, really nice. There was a couple times where I needed to hard cast this in order to buy myself an extra turn, so I was able to use this instead of Puppetmon to get, basically to buy myself an extra turn. It's less memory to give your opponent. Yeah, you don't get the body on board like you do with Puppet, but giving them only 6 instead is just a lot better, and especially if you both have a Tamer out that's going to put you to 3 anyways, this is essentially not giving your opponent any more memory than they would have gotten anyways, if you don't really do much else on your turn. So, really, really awesome card. Absolutely love it. And yeah, that rounds out the deck. Alright, so let's talk my matches now. So round 1, I played against someone who was basically playing a modified red starter deck. It was their first time in a large event, so they didn't really have access to a whole lot of things. They did, however, have Omnis in their deck, but I fortunately never came across them in our 2 games, so that just felt good to not ever have to deal with an Omni. But yeah, we won in 2 games, and that was round 1. Just going into my Twitter archive here. Then in round 2 was our first loss of the day. I lost to green. We had an unlucky draw of no blue rookies in game 1. It was just really, really bad. And then in game 2, I was super close to winning, and I hit a Flower Cannon in my opponent's security, which secured the game for them. So that was round 2, which was our first loss. And then we moved on to round 3. We played against a red-black Ragnalord deck. It went to 3 games, but Puppetmon just came in clutch at the end, and I was able to pick up game 3 and win there. So that felt really good. My opponent kind of struggled to find their pieces to deal with Rookie Rush in games 2 and 3. Game 1, they won very quickly. They were able to get an Alter S onto the field, and then I just couldn't really do too much after that. But in games 2 and 3, they struggled to find their pieces, and I had really good and consistent draws. So we were able to pick up a win in round 3. Round 4 was probably my favorite match of the day. I played against Ariel Cathine. He placed 3rd last week in the Attack USA event. He played the same deck today, and unfortunately, similar to my round 3 opponent, he had the pieces to deal with Rookie Rush, but wasn't really able to find the pieces at the right time. I also think in both of our games, he only was able to find one Ragnalord. If I'm remembering our matches correctly, he either was only able to find one Ragnalord or couldn't find them at all. But yeah, he was a super awesome person to play against, and we got to chatting after our matches, and he's just a really, really awesome person. He's got some absolutely awesome things planned for the Digimon TCG community, so it was just a real pleasure to play against him and to meet him. So that was round 4, and we won that, and we were sitting at 3-1. And then in round 5, we played against Purple. This was one of the times where I had to do multiple Puppet Mons because my opponent was able to do so much with the memory that they got off of my first Puppet Mon. So I had to follow it up with the second one in order to kind of like really secure things. But yeah, I won it in 2 games. Both of the games did take a while because it was playing against Purple. But like I said, I had the Puppet Mons at the right time, and I was able to keep my opponent's board locked down, and I was able to pick up a win there. So I moved on to round 6, being at 4-1. And then in round 6, I lost to Yellow War Greymon. This was the second loss of the day. Game 1 was very close, but Game 2, I literally had no chance. I bricked super hard. I drew a Positron Laser Puppet Mon, both my Gorilla Mons, and a Auroramon. And I didn't see a blue rookie for 3 turns. So it was just so bad. I couldn't really do anything at all. I was able to get no momentum going. My opponent even said after the match, he was like, "I'm so sorry, like, that just feels really bad to win in that situation." And like, it does. When your opponent is just not able to do anything and their deck just unfortunately bricks, you do feel a little bad about taking those wins, because it's almost like they're not even playing the same game that you are, because their deck just unfortunately isn't doing what it's supposed to. And then we moved on to round 7. This was basically, if I wanted to have a chance at top 32, I needed to win, and I did. And this was against Yellow War Greymon, and this is probably where my deck just was functioning as well as it could be. I got all the right draws at the exact time. Also, my opponent bricked in one of our games. I can't remember which one, but that definitely helped me a lot, because they had to hardcast a War Growlmon, which is just, first off, you don't want to be hardcasting a War Growlmon really in any situation, because you want the Digiburst effect, but they didn't really have any other options, so they had to hardcast that, which gave me a whole bunch of memory, and I was just able to flood the board with rookies, and they unfortunately were just not able to deal with that, and I was able to run through their security pretty quickly. And that closes out the event. So like I said, we finished at 5-2. That placed me 40th. After all the tiebreakers and everything was all said and done, we placed 40th. So like I said, we did have the record to make top 32, because I believe it was 12th or 13th. 19th and 20th were also 5-2. So we did have the record to get into top 32. However, unfortunately, just due to our tiebreakers and like where our losses showed up, we just weren't able to make it, which, you know, it does sting a little bit, but at the end of the day, I am very happy to have placed to have gone 5-2 and placed 40th overall. Like I said, it is the best that I have done in one of these events so far. I am very much looking forward to the event tomorrow from the day that I'm recording this. I'm going to be playing a green Hercules Kabuterimon. I'm going to be running Max Tepera's list basically card for card, because tomorrow the Palmons are not going to be legal. So, and in his original list, he does not have the Palmons because he didn't have them yet. So I'm going to be running his list card for card, and I'm really looking forward to playing that. Green is my favorite color to play. I absolutely love playing green, so I am super excited to run Hercules Kabuterimon tomorrow. I'm also trying to figure out a way to make the Dash Pack Black War Greymon work. I spoke to some people today after some matches, and we kind of like came up with some ideas, so I've got that deck to build and then test out, so I'm really looking forward to that. So I think that about wraps it up. Thank you everybody so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe down below and hit that thumbs up button, you know, all of that YouTube algorithm stuff. Thank you again so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.